Good morning, everyone. This is Melissa Paglia. I'm an account manager here with Crestwood Associates. And thank you all for joining our webinar today. This will be recorded, and you can also submit questions in the question box located on the panel there. Today we have Corey Hansen presenting. He is our Partner Solution Consultant with Microsoft, and he's also a CRM demo guru. So thanks so much, Corey, and thanks everybody for attending.
All right, thank you, Melissa. All right, welcome everyone. Today we're going to just kind of touch on some of the new features that released with our Spring 14 update. This update released towards the end of May and kind of started to roll out through the online data centers and is available for on-premise as well in some certain features within CRM. So basically our vision with this release is really to help our customers deliver the kinds of amazing customer experiences that help with your business, help keeping your business thriving. We feel there are three really main important things that we need to be able to do as a customer, and that's be able to market smarter, be able to get those campaigns out there, and not just a email blast, but engaging campaigns, campaigns that can touch the social aspect, Twitter, Facebook, being able to track, where are your prospects, your customers spending their time on your landing pages, what behaviors are they doing when you're sending out these marketing campaigns, so be able to kind of market smarter, and then be able to sell efficiently. Once you know what your customers and prospects are searching on or landing on in your landing pages, how do you get those over to the sales folks to sell to them and get those deals closed much faster? And then, of course, once you've marketed and once you've sold, your product, the last thing is taking care of that customer, whether it's through support, through service enhancements, or whatever it may be. Just being able to listen to their feedback and make changes based on the feedback that you're hearing from your customers and prospects. So those are really the three goals of the spring update, is really on the marketing, the selling, and then the social, kind of the care, the service side. So as we move to the next slide here, I can get going there. The first thing that we'll talk about is the Dynamics, or Microsoft Dynamics Marketing. And so this is a product that was originally called Marketing Pilot, and we had purchased Marketing Pilot, brought it into Microsoft, have integrated it with Dynamics CRM. But think of Dynamics Marketing as it's an entirely on its own, can be its own product. It's basically a marketing focused product. It's an integrated marketing management system. So it has many types of functionality, like event management. If you're want to tracking events and the registration and the attendees, it's got that component in it. If you need to manage your digital assets, different approved logos and visuals that you can use in your campaigns, you can kind of have an approval area where you can manage those assets, create those assets, and kind of store them within the marketing system. Other things like multi-channel campaigns. So maybe there's a campaign that you want to run that initially starts off with an email blast, but then follows up 10 days later with another email blast or some social media posts or phone calls or even direct mailings. There's different types of campaigns that you can develop and rich newsletter type functionality through the Dynamics Marketing product. And so with that, you can get then the reporting side of it too, with when you do send out these campaigns, what are customers clicking on? Where are they spending the most time? That behavioral analysis is key to knowing what products your customers are looking at, what are they interested in to try to sell to them. And so that's kind of all those different areas are all features within the Dynamics Marketing product. But like I mentioned, it does integrate with Dynamics CRM. So we share the same accounts and contacts. So as you have accounts and contacts in your Dynamics CRM system, those contacts are also in your marketing Dynamics Marketing system as well. So you can target them in your mailings, your campaigns, or whatever it is that you want to do with those contacts or your prospects. So though we share that the customers there, on the marketing side, when you start getting the behavioral analysis, we start scoring your leads. So as people click on things or register for certain events or certain things that you're doing, they can get certain scores tied to their record or their lead record. And you could have a kind of a rule in Dynamics Marketing that says, hey, if a lead hits a score of 80, send that over to Dynamics CRM so our sales folks can follow up on that lead and get that lead closed. And so there's really a tight integration between the Dynamics CRM product and the Dynamics Marketing product to get that full behavioral analysis along with the selling, get it to the right sales folks, get that deal closed, and then get that opportunity back into Dynamics Marketing to kind of represent the whole loop, the closed loop cycle from lead all the way to opportunity closure. You can report on that through the Dynamics Marketing product as well. So let me just jump over. I'm going to show a few things here within the Dynamics Marketing product. So here I'm logged in, and for those that have seen Dynamics CRM 2013 before, you're going to see a lot of the same look and feel between the products because obviously they're developed under the same team. So as I come in here, initially I get right to my dashboard area. The dashboards are basically all personalized to what you want to see. So right now I'm logged in as Terry, and with Terry here, I can go ahead and add or remove components from my dashboard. Right now I'm just looking at some budget analysis of kind of what we've spent throughout the year, some tasks that are assigned to me that I need to follow up on. But I can go ahead and add some additional components just right from the dashboard here. Maybe I actually want to look at some of our lead performance. So if I pull in our lead performance, I can maybe look by lead priority, maybe just a count of my leads by priority. Something simple right now, just for the sake of the demo. And I can pick a different, certain timeline that I want to represent this. I'll just go ahead and pick 1 year out here. I'll click OK. And I don't have a lot of great sample data in the system right now. Obviously, a newer system here, I don't have a lot of campaigns, so I don't have a ton of good information in here. But as I come down here, I see the new chart that got added. I now have a lead performance showing me, I basically 11% of my leads are in a high status of priority. 83% don't have anything, so I should really need to get going on these and figure out why haven't these even been updated yet. And then I have some that are at a medium. So as you can see, there's many different things that you can do as far as a lot of the different charts and analysis that you can do. If you're in the Power BI options, we actually have plugins and hooks into Power BI, so you can show some Power BI charts within this dashboard as well. So you can actually show some pretty good charts and reports right from the dashboard. But the main thing I want to show you here, for the quick overview demo, is more around the campaign management. So if I click on Marketing Execution here, I can go down to our campaigns. And within our campaigns here, I have a bunch of campaigns that are kind of in progress or that we're working on developing. I'm just going to go ahead and go into one of my campaigns here. And so here you just see a bunch of different metadata you can track around the campaign. Start date, end date, different categories. Those things are just kind of some standard fields that you can use. Any tasks that you need to sign out, maybe there's certain things you need to do before you can launch this campaign. Obviously, like create the newsletter or the the brochure that goes out. Maybe there's some mailings that you're going to do, or come up with some of the wording we're going to post to our Twitter site or our Facebook site. So you can have different tasks that are set up and assigned out to different individuals that will take care of those items. But the one thing the main thing with the campaign management is the campaign designer. So being able to kind of develop this multi-channel campaign workflow on kind of how things are going to lay out within this campaign. And so this is where you can kind of start with. You start with your marketing list. Who are we targeting? Maybe there's some, a static list of, 10, 20, 100,000 people, depending on what you have for a static list. Or maybe there's more of a dynamic list where you're saying, give me all my leads in North Dakota, or give me all my leads in Minnesota. You can have more of a dynamic list like that. So if I just pull over, I can just go and just drag and drop, and go ahead and click on properties here. I can select to see what static marketing list I have. Maybe I'll just grab this fall program marketing list. And so now I have basically just added another marketing list into this campaign. So these are the people that we're going to target. Actually, I guess I already had that in there once, but so these people we're going to target. If you have it in there more than once, or a person shows up in more than one list, they're only going to get notified that one time with the email that goes out. We won't actually duplicate that process. As I come over here and start developing my campaign, it ends up just being more drag and drop. What are we going to do during this campaign? First thing it is, we're going to send out an email. So if I click on this area and click on properties, I can see a little bit of information about the email. I can even click on the little pencil if I need to edit the email at all. So let that load up here. And so here I just have, this one's just actually a very simple email with a logo on it. And then some links, but you can add more graphics, all that right within in here, or you can even edit HTML and then preview the HTML too within this designer. So let me just go ahead and close that. So once we send out this email, you'll notice that there is some tracking information here too. So once this campaign goes out, it's going to show you, the number of successes, maybe the number of undeliverables, ones that couldn't be sent. So you'll start getting some status information about the campaign as we start sending the emails out. Once the email goes out, there's a link in there to a landing page. And so this landing page is basically just another step where from the landing page we're going to have maybe users register. And here we can track how many people registered. So we have a registration step in here, so the user registered. If I scroll over a little bit here, once they register, our next step in this kind of flow is we're going to send them some mailing. So this is like a printed mail option. So we're actually going to send out a flyer. After they've been sent the flyer, we're going to wait 10 days, and then we're going to send another follow-up reminder to that email or to that person. And so you can see you can get multi stages, multi options within the campaign here. The thing I didn't touch on down here is when we first start this campaign, we initially send out this email. Well, if you follow the arrow down here, we're actually also can post something to our Twitter site or one of our social sites. And so this is just a social media event that we're going to post, and you can have the the message and the post date that you're going to post that into. And then you could do multiple posts during maybe during that month you're running that campaign. You may on day 1, day 10, day 20. You want to do different posts, you can go ahead and set that up. And so basically it is just a matter of dragging and dropping the items that you want to develop into your campaign. So the whole designing of the campaign is a lot simpler as far as just dragging and dropping and then defining out what that item is. So like for example, I think if I go back to this landing page one here, go to properties, I can pull open that landing page. And that'll render that into this site where I can make changes to information about that site, and then also view the content. So here I have a link to the content for that landing site that I can actually view and then edit or modify if needed. So that's a little bit about the dynamics marketing. Obviously, there's a lot more functionality. If I go ahead and kind of bring up the menu options here, whether it's maybe tracking different jobs you're doing within a project, maybe you have needs for approvals, if certain digital assets are getting reworked on and they need to go through an approval. There's approval processes in here. There's budgeting. As you run your campaigns and have budgets, you can track your expenses, and all that can be then reported up on. Here's our expenses. Here's what we're gaining from from these campaigns as far as leads and lead closures, and then kind of get an idea and basically an all-up look for kind of how the campaign is basically the ROI on your investment for that campaign. So definitely lots of functionality. Like I mentioned, this is integrated with Dynamics CRM. You can use it standalone as well. So if you're looking for some marketing options, but and you don't have CRM right now, that it's an option, but obviously bundling it with Dynamics CRM comes at a discount as well within the product. And then depending on the licensing, you can actually get it bundled in with CRM as well. So let me go ahead and minimize that. I'm going to just come back to the slides for a minute. Oops. All right, so the next area is more on social media. So as many of you already know, the world has gone social. As you look at some of these numbers, it's just kind of amazing to think that 5,000 tweets per second, 100 hours of video uploaded at YouTube per minute. Everything when someone does something or needs to find something, they go to social and they search for it, they make comments and everything like that. So as you think about a business that's selling products, you want to be able to kind of monitor and keep track of what are people saying about your business or your product, or maybe even your campaign that you launched. Do they like it? Do they not like it? And then kind of learning from those those campaigns or those those comments that they're making about the campaigns and making improvements on them down the road. One statistic here is 44% of customers today complain about products and services on social networks. So basically think of almost half your customers, if they have a complaint, are going to log it somewhere on Twitter, Facebook, some social site where others are going to see it. And another stat that was put in here is one negative social comment can cost a company up to 30 customers. So being able to stay on top of those, obviously you can't stop people from commenting, making negative comments, but it's how you react to them and how you solve them is definitely what can keep those customers and make them loyal customers in the long run. And so one way to do that is with our Microsoft Social Listening. So Microsoft Social Listening was also released with our spring update. Again, this like Dynamics Marketing is a separate product, but it's integrated with Dynamics CRM and actually is bundled in with the licensing. So if you have up to 10 professional users, you get Dynamics Social or Microsoft Social Listening included within your online subscription. And so a lot of social media listening things, other products, they're usually high priced. Usually only a few people maybe have access to it because the licensing can get kind of high. Microsoft Social Listening is designed for everyone. It's designed for salespeople to take advantage of it, or at least keep an eye on what's going on within the social media. Being able to respond to someone's negative post, again, is easy to use. And basically, if I'm a customer service person, I should be able to see our negative posts, maybe even respond back to those posts, try to get that issue resolved as quickly as possible. And so let me switch over to our other demo here. So this right here is Microsoft Social Listening. This is just the home page. Again, kind of more of a dashboard look and feel. As I come into here, I get a quick summary of the buzz. So how many posts are collected today or during basically the time frame I'm selecting. You can see right now I have the today selected. Let's just go ahead and choose last week. I choose last week. That'll refresh here, and I should have some more buzz. So I have a few more posts here. So 64 posts. I do have a little bit of a negative trend, so I have a little bit less posts. Oops, actually that didn't save. Hold on a second here. There we go. That looks better. So from last week, I had 493 posts for the week, about 22% average trend. So the trend's not too high, not too low. I don't have any alerts hitting or showing, flagging me that, hey, something's going on in your social media that you should take a look at. Either the trend's really high or the trend's really low. You can actually set up alerts to notify you if something's happening like that, which is nice because then you don't always have to be out here in social listening, the social listening product, in order to determine what's going on. You can have those emailed right to you. I can also come in here and see, where are these comments coming from, or these posts. I can see 63% are from Twitter, a little under 2% from Facebook, and the rest are from the blogs. And then I can also see which keywords I'm searching on. I'll show in a little bit here how you can change the keywords, but right now I'm searching on CRM 2013 and also Dynamics CRM Online. So if I hover over them, I can get stats on the trending just for that one keyword that I'm looking at, or the other keyword that I have here. And you can have as many many search terms and keywords as you want. It's just a matter of the number of posts that are being pulled in, because there is some quota limits that we'll talk about here in a little bit too. But as I scroll down here, this is a good quick summary overview. But really, where the real power comes in is when I start scrolling down here, and I get into each of these topics, and I can start to see the sentiment. So sentiment is, of those posts that are coming in, are they good, are they bad, are they neutral? And you can see the green is the positive, the red is the negative, and then the gray is just the neutral. And so what I can actually do is I can actually come in here, I can click on that area, and it actually brings me into more of a little bit larger area of just this product that I'm searching on, or these keywords. And so I can come in here and I can see the sentiment history. Looks like we were about an 8 sentiment, and we kind of rose up to 10, and then we kind of took a little dip here lately. So I can maybe kind of look into those to see why these are, why we've come down a little bit since we started out on July 10th. And so as I scroll down a little bit further, I can see sentiment volume, how many negative or positive posts have come in each of those days over the last week that we're looking at. And again, I can change the time frame as I come in through here. I can have a custom time frame, or I can choose a few other options here. So let me scroll down, actually scroll back up here. But now, so that's great. We see, hey, we have some negative posts. Looks like we have 9 here as we hover over it. But I actually want to see those posts. Well, if I click on that little red box there, it's actually going to load up those negative posts for me. So it's actually filtering out all the other, good or neutral stuff, and just letting me come in here and see, hey, is there anything I need to take care of? I'm looking at some of these. I was in here ahead of time and kind of looked at a few of these, and I see some of these are just some blogs with people, saying, basically how to log and handle CRM 2013 exceptions. So it's more of a troubleshooting article versus, actually a negative post. So really, I can actually come in here and say, oh, this isn't really a negative post. It's a neutral. So I'm just you can go ahead and change those right in here, and that way they kind of fall off of your view of within the negative realm here. And I can see, a lot of these are just blogs or Twitter posts talking about, something that basically might look bad, like, slow form load. That may seem like a bad term, but actually it's just a Twitter feed talking about some troubleshooting information. So as I come down here, here's one where it's a little bit of both here. It's got some exceptions as well as a good comment here as well. And then the last one, like I mentioned here, this one is where it really related to your search terms. So if you get too broad in your search, you could pull in things that may have absolutely nothing to do with what you are looking for. And so this one just happened to have CRM and 2013 in the same post. And so what you can actually do is you can just say remove this post, and that'll actually just get it rid of for you. But this is just kind of a quick way. Instead of looking at through my 670 some posts that were out there, I've narrowed it down to the 9 that were negative, and I can kind of come in here, look through these, and even a lot of these are just not necessarily even negative. They just happen to have some of the negative terminology in there that could be considered a negative post. And if I wanted to, I could actually come and see. Let's just see the positive. See what good things people are saying about us. And so I could come in here, switch it to positive, and that's going to give me a few more. I had a few more on the positive side. So let that one load up here, and then I can start looking through these posts as well. And I can even reply right back to this user that posted this. I can reply back. I could retweet it or add it as a favorite if I want to, maybe use these comments, later on. I'll refer back to them. So that's basically kind of what social listening will get you. It's basically, a nice dashboard area where you can kind of view this data. Again, like I mentioned, you could come into the social listening product itself to see this, but where it really helps out like our sales and customer service reps is they don't have to go out to social listening. They can just go right over to Dynamics CRM, which they probably are in every day anyway. And when they're in Dynamics CRM, I can actually bring up our dashboard. And we actually have components from social listening plugged right into Dynamics CRM. So here we can see our search term of CRM 2013, the negative and the positives, what's trending. I can see Dynamic CRM Online. I just kind of did a dashboard of many different things, so you can kind of get an idea what you could put on the dashboard. Maybe not all of these you needed at one time, but here's just kind of the trending of good and negative. Just the things that we saw over on the social listening site can be put right into Dynamic CRM. I can even get a quick list of all the posts right here too, so I could, as I'm in CRM, I can read some of the posts that are occurring as well. So that is a little bit about Microsoft Social Listening. I'll switch back over here for a second. If I hover over Social Listening, I go over to the alerts. This is where you can actually set up alerts to send, if something gets too high or too low, it can send you a notification, so you can kind of come out here and take a look at it, or jump into CRM and take a look at it. The one thing I did mention is from CRM, if I click on one of these, it's going to take me right out to the Social Listening site, and I can start looking at those posts and take a look at what's going on there. And then also on the settings side, I was just going to show quick here that adding new terms is really simple. If there's things you want to search on, you're launching a new campaign, you want to start tracking it, you can come out here and let's do search topics. And right now you see I have my 2 search topics. I can just go ahead and add another search topic. Let's just say, for example, I'm going to do some stuff around Xbox. So let's give that a name. Let's say we'll add a search query. If I get too broad of a search like Xbox, and I can come down here and say, let's just test this query to see how many posts I think it might bring back. Well, something like Xbox, obviously there's lots of Twitter posts about it. It could basically bring back over 2 million posts per month. Well, that exceeds my quota that I have, and so actually I want to get a little more granular. So I'm probably going to do Xbox One. Maybe I want to include it's got to have the word Microsoft in it, or maybe even the word games. Maybe we'll want something like that. If I test that out, that should shrink my quota, or shrink it down a little bit. So now I'm down to about 73,000 posts on Twitter per month. So it's getting us quite high. Maybe I want to. Actually, I think if we just do games, I think that was a little bit better. Yeah, so here I'm loaded down within my quota range here. But again, it's about the searching that you're doing. If it's pretty broad, or there's other products with similar names, then you may want to exclude. If whatever the company name is that has the same product as you, you could exclude those as well, and kind of narrow it down so you have more of a refined search. So you don't get tons and tons of data. You get the streamlined data that you're looking for. And maybe you don't want to monitor Twitter. You could uncheck that, or uncheck Facebook or so forth, depending on what you want to monitor. And then there is different languages. I think we have up to 6 languages, if I remember right, that we do searching in. With the sentiment. So like if a German person wrote something in German, or posted a post in German, we actually do the sentiment analysis in German. We don't translate it to English first and then do the sentiment, because you could lose some of the meaning behind what they're saying if you do it after the translation. So some of that, just having that language sentiment is really key to making sure you have the right information showing up in the right area. So that's kind of, if you need to remove something and say you didn't want to search on these anymore, you can remove those and change it each month. But really, once you added the search terms, that starts at that point in time. So you want to, as you're doing it for a week or a month, you start getting better, more data and better trending analysis, because you have more data to compare against going forward. All right, let me jump back over to the slides here for a minute. The other feature that we added, and this doesn't really fall into the concept of the the marketing, selling, and customer care, but it's more for managing the online environment. So as you're working in CRM Online, you have a production environment. You probably don't want to do a lot of testing in your production environment. You actually maybe want to have a test, or that you can do some customization and make sure it's what you want, or test some third-party customizations out there. And so the Sandbox environment allows you to do things like that. I can take a copy of our production organization, move that over into our Sandbox org, so I basically have a copy of what's in production, and then I can test those customizations out, or I could test an upgrade. I could test deleting certain things that we want to do and see if it's going to cause any issues if we do it in production. The other option we have is the ability to reset an organization. So if you have a test org, and we call these test environments a sandbox, so basically a sandbox, think of an area you can just kind of play around in and do some testing. You can reset those sandbox instances. So let's just say I copy a production environment over into Sandbox, and I'm testing it. Now I'm done with my testing. Maybe don't need it anymore. I can click on Reset, and I'll actually reset that test instance or my Sandbox instance back to a brand new vanilla CRM organization. And so, just having the ability to kind of do more maintenance and more manageability around your organizations definitely makes these features more enterprise ready, as well as more developer and customization friendly as they add more customizations into the organization. And then the last thing is an admin mode. So you can actually have an organization and you can turn it into like an administrative mode where we won't run workflows or send out emails. It's kind of more of a lockdown. It's just you can log into it with the admin user, check, do customizations, do whatever you want, but it's not going to affect anything as far as workflows, firing emails out to your customers and things like that. So you can actually make it an admin mode only environment. So those are a few things that we added, and you can control all this through the online portal. So as you go into CRM Online here, you have your Microsoft Online portal. So those that are familiar with Office 365, here you can see we have access to CRM, Microsoft Dynamics Marketing, Microsoft Social Listening, all within the one tenant. You don't have to jump around to different products. I can click on here. I can get down to the social listening site or the marketing. Everything's all in one location. But if I click on CRM here, I don't know if I have multiple tenants in this one, but if I click on CRM, I should get a little box here that we just saw in the screenshot, maybe. There we go. So right now I only have the one instance, but if I had a Sandbox instance, I would be able to have the options to copy, reset, and then admin mode as well into that second instance if I wanted, or if I had 3 or 4 instances, they would all be available here within this location. So nicely all streamlined within one online portal to manage those instances. Back to our slides. And then the one other thing I want to call out too is if you do have a Sandbox instance, you will notice just a little bit of color change. You should see an orange bar with the word Sandbox on the top of it. Functionality-wise, it has the exact same functionality as production. You can do anything that you want in it, just like you would production. The only thing was we wanted to call out that hey, if you're in the Sandbox environment, we want to make sure users know that, because they're not entering data that they think that's supposed to be going into production. Just kind of trying to draw, not have any confusion that way. So if you do have a Sandbox instance, you will notice the color changes versus the normal darker blue color. Actually, let me go back to my demo here. So the last thing I want to talk about or demo here is some enhancements done to Dynamics CRM on the service side. So let me jump over to service. So within Dynamics CRM, we have the service side, which allows you to manage cases, knowledge base articles, service scheduling, some of those features. Well, we really improve the case management capabilities of Dynamics CRM. So now when I come into our cases, let me just go ahead and create a new case here, and I'll show you some of the behind-the-scenes options that we have. Close some of these here. Not sure why my environment all of a sudden got slow here. Let me try this one more time here. I'm just going to refresh my screen here. Something got confused since I was last logged in. Hopefully I didn't lose connection. I have... Okay, there we go. Not sure what happened there. Anyway, so here I have just our normal case lists. I'm going to go ahead and just click on New Case. And everything right now is going to look familiar if you're used to seeing CRM 2013. I'm going to go ahead and select a customer. I'll select the Datum Corporation here. And what you'll notice is when I select this customer, we have this new area over here on the right-hand side called entitlements. So you can have entitlements similar to service, maybe service contracts that you may, if anyone's remember from CRM 2011, the ability to add like a service contract. This entitlement basically gives you the flexibility to say who at this customer site has access to use the entitlements, which products can they use it for, and kind of have a little bit more control over that, and also can they use it with any of our phone or support types, like can it be web, phone, email. You have some options there, and actually I'll show you the entitlements here in a little bit. But so those kind of default in when I select the customer. Now let me go ahead and select a contact here for a Datum Corporation. And for some reason my screen is not liking me right now. So here it pulls up, it kind of filters down the contacts at the Datum Corporation. And so for example, if I pick Susan here, Susan isn't set up to use any of our entitlements at a Datum Corporation. So if I come here and click this lookup, it's not going to give me any options here within the entitlement to choose because Susan is not part of that entitlement. Come on. All right, I'm not sure why this is delaying on me like that. Okay, so no entitlements found. If I go ahead and go back up to my contact here, and let's actually take out Susan, and let's do lookup. And this time let's pick Renee. Now I'm going to go back down to my entitlements here and say, I actually have an entitlement I can choose because she's part of the entitlements at this company. And so now when I use it, it actually will decrement the remaining times once I close out, or the remaining terms once I close out this case. So let me just go ahead and save this for a second, because that's one of the enhancements. Oops, let me get a title here. Save this. So within this entitlement also is linked to an SLA. So an SLA, it basically has what is the first response time that is needed in order to respond to this customer's request. And so once it's saved, there's definitely something going on with my environment right now. Once it's saved, what you'll see is the first response timer will start, and right now my default SLA that I have set up is an hour response time, and so for anything that's normal priority or lower. And so an hour response time will start, and the clock will start ticking away. So here it goes. We have the first response due in basically 59 minutes. And so you can see that this will start ticking down. And because my machine's looking a little slow here, it's acting a little funny on here. This should start ticking down and actually show it ticking down. Hopefully I'll show that here in a minute. But what I can do is if let me do this. I'm going to get rid of this IE session and come back. Sorry about this. It's just working. All right, so let's close this one. get into a new window here. CRM. I think I just saw something on the dashboard where my org might be having some issues. Okay, so there's something going on with where my org is stored right now, so that might be why it's acting like that. So hopefully I can still get in here and show. I just have a couple things left to show on the demo, and then we'll open it up for questions here. So get back to the service side. And down to my test. So here I have my test record. As you can see, the timer is ticking down. So as a support engineer, I can easily see that, hey, I have 57 minutes to respond to this customer request. Now, however, if the priority was set to high, what you'll see here, let me save this, is I have an SLA set that if a case is set to high, there's a 2-minute response time. And I did this just more for the demo, but I think we've already passed the 2 minutes since we're down to 57 already. But what will actually happen is once it hits that 2-minute mark, it actually kind of flag this is more of a red. We've missed the SLA, and the first SLA response will be updated to basically not compliant. And so that way we can track and report on how many cases are we missing the first response on time, how many are we getting on time, and just having a little bit more flexibility there in order to track how our cases are progressing. So that's still saving. But let's just go out, see if I can get over to the settings area. Well, that's. And if there is any questions, please feel free to start putting them in the chat window. Let me just double check. I don't see any in there right now, but so the last area I want to show is just over in the service management, kind of more from the admin side. As you're coming in here, just showing some of the new options and flexibility you have as far as setting up some of the service options. So for one example is, in the older versions of CRM, we had the option of having an email get created into a queue, and then someone could create a workflow or something that would take that item, that email, and actually create a case in CRM. Well, all that was kind of done more of on a custom side, where you had to create the workflow yourself, and you kind of had to do some more of that customizations. Well, now we actually have the ability to come right into this setting called automatic case creation rules. And when you go into that area, you now have the ability to pick what options you want as far as when the case is created. What do you want filled in? What SLA do you want put on there? Do you want cases created for contacts that aren't in the CRM system or not? You have a little bit more flexibility with what you have. So let me open up the one I have here just to kind of give you a little glimpse at this. Again, sorry for the delay here. I'm not sure. Perfect time to have an organization issue on my server. So here, as you see, for the case creation rule, I can have options like, create cases for unknown senders. This basically means an email came in for someone that is not in our CRM system. We can't match the email up with anyone. Do you want to create a case for that or not? Create a case for valid entitlements, yes or no. Create cases for activities associated with a resolved case. So, for example, let's just say you had a case you were working on with Joe, and you closed it out. Tomorrow, Joe emails in again. You can say, do you want a new case created for that, or do you want to, basically use the existing case? And if that's the case, you can choose how many minutes or days would you want it to not create a new case. So is it 1 day, is it 3 days, is it 30 days? You can basically type in what you want. There's a few options here, but you can go ahead and type in more if you want as well. And then do you want an auto response sent? Do you want, once an email comes in and we create the case, do you want an auto response to go out? And then if you do, what's the template you want to use? You can tie a template to there. And you can specify some case details. If the case is from a certain person that has a certain type of entitlement, it can be a high priority case or a non-priority case. So you have a lot more options here within this area. And last couple of things I'll show here is the entitlements and the SLA. Once this gets back here. If there's any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat window, or if you're able to unmute, feel free to unmute and ask as well. We're almost towards the end here. I'm just waiting for this to come up here.
Corey, it's Jen. I have a question about entitlements while you're doing this. Corey? Oh, sorry, I muted you by accident, Corey. Are you there?
No problem. No problem.
With entitlements, can you add in more restrictions, or do you always have to pick what's available with the template?
So with the template, it is basically the 3 restrictions that we have are the contacts, who can use it, what products they can use it on, and then also what type of support case they can have. So those are kind of the hard-coded right now. It's not to say down the road, as we keep making enhancements to this area, that we may be able to do other things with it as well, or you maybe even some custom, plugins and things like that down the road too. But right now, it is kind of limited to those 3 areas.
Can you restrict which channel they contact support through, like whether it's email, phone call, social media, those sorts of things?
Yeah, that is one of the options. Now, it's basically, I think what it will do is it just will block you from using that entitlement on, say I call into you and you create a phone call case for me, but I'm not allowed to do phone call. It just won't allow me to use that entitlement. So basically, you could say, "Oh, hey, I'm sorry, I can't help you through phone. You have to come back through email." If that's kind of what you're looking for, you could do something like that. It won't stop them from sending you an email or calling you, but it would stop them from using the entitlement that you gave them. So.
Okay, thanks.
Let me actually go. Yep, I'll actually go into one of the entitlements here, and you can see here I have the entitlement channel, email, phone. And I have products, so in this instance, I can only use this entitlement if I'm using it for the dynamic CRM product that we have set up in the system. And then Renee is the only one that can use this right now. But I could definitely add more contacts to her to this if needed to allow others. Or if I don't have anything here at all, then any contact at that company would be able to use it. So basically, it's not restricting anything until you put something in here.
Okay. It's nice it all comes up right on that one screen to look at. Thanks.
Yes, exactly. Kind of one way, nice. And too, once you're say you're on a customer record, or a new account form has the entitlements area there, so you could click on the entitlement, and that'll open up that entitlement. And again, you can see just what I was looking at there. What entitlements they have, who has it, what products, and so forth. So it's kind of nice to have that ability now, versus having to go search for it and find it. The other one I was going to mention was SLA here. On the SLA side, that's just more allowing you to configure rules about, when a case is created, what's the first response time that you have. what's the failure? Like in this instance, the failure was after 2 minutes. I'm going to warn after 1. Since we're having some performance issues, we missed the warning part of it, but the warning turns the timer orange, so you kind of see it as nearing non-compliant. And then you have the 2-minute failure time, which would actually make it non-compliant. So if I actually go into this, you can kind of see where I can set up the actual rules, and it's similar to kind of like workflow or even advanced find, where you can say, and actually I have this one, it's actually published, I can't use it or modify it right now, but I can say, when's the failure and when's the warning, and then I can define some success criteria as well. So what's considered success? Is it when the first response sent field equals yes, or is it when the case is closed? Is that, maybe that's what you want to track as far as the responding. So it's kind of up to you. You can kind of use that timer control however you want, but this is just kind of the area where you can kind of just do it. It doesn't take custom coding now to do that. You can do it all right within the CRM system. And then I think there was one other thing I was going to talk about here. Let's see. Oh, the routing rules. So now that we have the ability to auto-create cases from emails that come in, we need to have the ability to send them to the right location. So if you want them to go to an escalation queue or a tier 1 queue based on if it's high priority or low priority, or based on a certain product you want it to go to a certain queue, that's all defined within the routing rules. And so with the automatic case creation and the routing rules, you can have those two kind of work together where the case gets created and then the routing rule takes effect and it gets it to the right location. So that's another nice enhancement. And then to go along with the queue topic is in 2013 and the previous versions, if you had a queue, let's say you set up 30 queues, every user saw all 30 queues. But whether or not they may not have had access to see the data inside the queue, but they still have this long list of queues that they really didn't need to see. You now can actually have private queues where you can actually tie certain users to certain queues, and then that shortens down their list and kind of allows them to just focus on the queues that they should be focusing on. So that's another nice little enhancement on the service side. So with that kind of ends kind of what I wanted to show. There are a few things that maybe I didn't touch on, like you can set up your holiday schedules and your customer service schedules, just kind of managing that through CRM as well if you wanted to. And then we have some of the similar email templates and some of the other components that are there from the past. So those are still there, but really all the enhancements are really right within the auto case creation, routing rules, service level agreements, and entitlements, and so forth. So those are kind of the new enhancements to the service side of CRM. And those come, if you already have CRM online, those will come with the spring update. You just need to actually go and actually click the apply updates, because it does make some changes to your case form and to your account form. And I just want to make sure people are ready for those changes before they actually get applied. So that's the only reason. If you don't have them yet and you're in online, that's probably why you haven't applied the changes yet. All right, so let me go back to my slides here. So here's just a couple quick links. If you have more, need more information around the marketing or the social, just remember marketing.dynamics.com or social.dynamics.com or crm.dynamics.com. If you go to any one of those, you'll get links to all the other sites as well. But obviously with crm.dynamics.com, you can actually sign up for a 30-day trial, test it out. Social, there isn't a 30-day trial, but there's a 30-minute kind of a test trial where you can actually go into an environment that's already been provisioned, that already has some data collected, so you can kind of play around with the UI, with some of the options that are there. And then on the marketing side, right now there isn't a trial for that, but there is ways to get demos and kind of a test drive of that as well through the marketing.dynamics.com site, as well as obviously with Jen and team too. So whatever questions you guys have. So any questions? Let me double check the chat window here. I don't see, Jen, do you see any questions in the chat? I'm not.
No, I don't, Corey. So
okay.
You must have been
perfect.
crystal clear, and everybody understood everything.
Crystal clear or really confused?
Well, thank you. You answered some of my questions. I was doing a little bit more research on entitlements lately, and how that new feature comes into play and what it can do. So it was nice to
Sure.
see it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
definitely. All right. Well, and too, if anyone has a question, please reach out to Jen and team, and then they can, if they need my help, I'm here to help out too. But they, either way, just let me know where I can be of assistance. So.
All right, great. Thank you, Corey, and thanks everyone for attending our webinar today. If you do have questions, feel free to reach out to Crestwood and we can get those answered.